Okay, we're up to Daf Yomi and we're learning Ilu Nishmasimi Mirasi. Okay, we're in the middle of something. Basically, it's exactly where the Mizbeach was situated. Exactly where was the Mizbeach situated? So Rabbi Yochanan said that Rabbi Yossi was of the opinion it was in the north. It was in the north, and he proved it through a series of, of a diagram. And we asked that in fact that Light Rav Ada Rava said Rabbi Yehuda said that it was chatzi half and half, and we got into sugya because Rabbi Yossi was the opinion you could shecht on the top of mizbeach. So if the whole mizbeach is in the north, you could do that. And Rabbi Yehuda said only the oil in the north and the shlamim in the south is because of what? Because of its situation. We said it's a pasuk, but this is how we got into the sugya. So yesterday we left off. There were two shittas: Rabbi Yossi in the north and Rabbi Yehuda half in the north and half in the south. There's a third opinion which we're going to do now, and it's basically the same Gemara as yesterday. And with the help of diagrams, things make a lot of sense. Just remember that the mizbeach was 32 amos long. The Heichel was 10 amos wide, and the Ulam was 10 was larger than that. It was 20. So let's see what we have. Exactly where was the kiyur placed? So Rav Sharavya Omer, two lines in the bottom of Nunches. Rav Sharavya Omer, Hamani, who is the Tana that placed it in the north? So Rabbi Yossi Aglilihi. It's again the Tana of our Mishnah is Rabbi Yossi ben Chalafta. This is Rabbi Yossi Aglili, the Tanya. Rabbi Yossi Aglili Omer. Rabbi Yossi Aglili is of the opinion. Mitoich Shenemar. The pasuk says, "V'nasata es hakiyar," and you should place the kiyar. V'nasata es hakiyar bein oil mayed ubein hamizbeach v'nasata shamayim. So guys, what does it say? You should place the kiyar between the oil mayed and the mizbeach. So the oil mayed is that opening of 10, and the mizbeach, and the kiyar should be between the mizbeach and the oil mayed. That's what it says. Right? The kiyar should be between, so my middle finger would be with the kiyar, this would be the mizbeach, and this would be the oil mayed. That's what the pasuk says. However, the next pasuk says, mizbeach oila some pesach mishkan oil mayed. You should place the opening, the mizbeach at the opening of the oil mayed. You should place at the opening of the oil mayed. So now, I can't have the kiyar, fellas, blocking the whole opening of the oil mayed, because then you would not have the mizbeach at the Pesach oil mayed. Yet I need the kiyar between. I need the kiyar between the oil mayed and the mizbeach. So how do you go and facilitate that, guys? You hear the problem? You hear it one more time. Okay. I should have used our scroll picture for this. I did not. So simply put, guys, look like this. Here's the opening of the oil mayed. I need the mizbeach, at least the mizbeach, part of the mizbeach to face that. There could be nothing in between, right? Between my left hand and my right hand, my right fingers, there can be nothing in between. Yet it says the kiyar should be between the mizbeach and the oil mayed. Good. So now, fellas, it doesn't mean, now watch, guys, if you put the kiyar down here, it's between in other words, this is the oil mayed. As long as I can somehow get this opposite, I can have the kiyar also opposite it. In other words, I have 10 amas to play with. I have 10 amas to play with. So ostensibly, guys, I can kind of both psukim. If this is, guys, if this is the 10 amas right over here, I could have the mizbeach over here. Let's see, the mizbeach's in the south. I could have the mizbeach over here, and I have the kiyar over here. Mizbeach's at the opening of the mayed, and the kiyar, well, I have to have the kiyar over here because the kiyar has to be between the mizbeach, and so if this is at the opening and I put the kiyar over here, it's not a problem. The kiyar is between the oil mayed. Again, it has to be in that 10 amas area. So I have the kiyar between the mizbeach in that area, and I have the open space of 5 where the mizbeach can go directly in. right? The Mizbeach can go directly in that area 5. This I can illustrate. This can illustrate. I sent it out on your phones. You should have it. Yeah. Look at diagram B. Actually, diagram A. No, that's the diagram B. So now watch. The Mizbeach is opposite the opening of the El Moed, the Heichel, guys, right? You see it? And the Kior is either in the south or the south or the north, and it's between the Mizbeach and the El Moed. So yet Rabbi Yossi is going to say the Kior, guys, is down here. Look at diagram A. That the Mizbeach is here and the Kior is down there. Why did he say that? In other words, why did he put the Kior in the south? Why didn't he do diagram B? Guys, why didn't he do diagram B? He could have, that would have fulfilled both things. You would have the Mizbeach opposite the Oil Mayed, and you would have the Kior between the Mizbeach and the Oil Mayed. So let's see the Gemara now. So Nakamo. The Tanya, but Yosef Lulay, Mitochnem, Abnesatas Kibin El Moyed, says Ves Mizbeach Oilam, right? Mizbeach Pesach El Moyed. It says some Pesach Mishkan by El Moyed, like here Pesach El Moyed. So Heichin Hayanas, where they put it. If the Mizbeach has to be at the opening of the Oil Moyed, where do they put the Kiyar? So Beina Ulam the Mizbeach, it was between the Ulam and the Mizbeach, Meshech Kima, a little bit to the south. So it was between the Ulam and the Mizbeach, a little bit what to the south. That's what we're saying. Okay. Now the Gemara is through this is going to prove somehow that Rabbi Yossi Aglili is of the opinion that the Mizbeach must have been in the north, and therefore I didn't have the option of putting the kiyar between the Mizbeach and the Oil Mayed. I had to put it in the south. Okay, that's gonna guys. That's our mission, guys. The mission is watch. The mission is diagram A. The mission is to have the Mizbeach in the north and the kiyar in the south. Good. That's the mission. So now let's do diagram C. Let's do diagram C. If the Mizbeach, take a look at diagram C. If the Mizbeach is totally in the south, correct? So that now, if you have 10 to play with, right? You have 10 to play with. Diagram C. So this would fulfill it. You have the opening of the Oil Mayed, the Heichel. You see the Kia right there, yeah? You see the altar. I mean, the Mizbeach is right there. Now you fulfilled the second pasuk, and now you have the kiyar between the Oil Moed and the Mizbeach. That fulfills the first pasuk. Yet Rabbi Yosef didn't go for that, right? He didn't go for that. Okay, so now, what about? Okay, diagram D. Diagram D would be the same thing. The Mizbeach is totally in the south, and the Heichel, the Ulam is part of the Heichel. So that gives you another 5, correct? You have another 5 to play with. So again, if you put the Kiyar over there in the 20, remember the 22 and the 10, you put the Kiyar over there, you accomplish the same thing. Since the Ulam is considered the same as the Heichel, the Kiyar is opposite the Ulam. So that's the Pesach Oil Mayed. That's Bein Mizbeach and the Oil Mayed. You have the Mizbeach on the right. You have the wall of the Oil Mayed because the Ulam is like the Oil Mayed, and you have the Kiyar over there. So why did you have to put the Kiyar totally in the south? So those are the first two possibilities. If it's totally what in the south? Yes, Nassim.
You had said the Mizbeach is 10 amas. This is 32, it's saying over here.
No, yeah, it's 10 to play with. You have 10 amas to play with.
Sorry.
22
Okay.
is 32. It's not.
And the Heichel was 32 amas?
The Heichel was 10. The Heichel was 10, and he had another 5 from it was 20. 20 was the Ulam, 10 was the Heichel. So if I'm going to use if you're going to say that the Ulam has the din of the Oil Moyed, so you just gave yourself 5 more to play with, right? Good. So
how big was the Mizbeach?
I need the Mizbeach facing the Oil Moed, which I got directly through the Heichel, and have the Kiyar bein the Mizbeach and Oil Moed, because what? The Ulam is like the Oil Moed right there. And okay. So now that's if the mizbeach is totally in the south. So we could, in other words, so if the mizbeach, guys, if the mizbeach was totally in the south, we could fulfill both psukim. We have the Pesach El Mayed, and we have the Ulam Bain Mizbeach and the El Mayed. Good. So therefore that can't be because it basically says you got to put it totally in the south. Guys, good. Now, what happens if the mizbeach is at the halfway point? Let's say the mizbeach is at the halfway point. Diagram E. So if it's at the halfway point, I could again accomplish it. At the halfway point, it's opposite the oil mayed. I now put the kiyar. I put the kiyar bein ulam mizbeach. Between mizbeach and the oil mayed. There you have it. That's diagram E works. And if you're going to go ahead and say that the ulam is also part of the oil mayed, then guys, then you have an extra to play with, right? The bottom line is, if the mizbeach's in the south, or the mizbeach is in half the south and half the north, it would be unnecessary for Rabbi Yossi Gluli to put the kiyar all the way in the south. Geschmack, guys? You see it in front of you. It's right in front of you. Again, going over from the top. If it's totally in the south, that's number B, diagram B. Here's the mizbeach is going to be diagram C, excuse me. Diagram C. If it's totally in the south, I accomplish by having it the top line opposite the oil mayed, and the kiyars between the mizbeach and the oil mayed. That's if it's in the south. And if you're going to say that you make it a little, you're going to make it a little bigger. Mizbeach in the south, and you're going to expand the ulam to be part of the oil mayed. Then you have it again. If the mizbeach is the halfway point, you have it again. In other words, you have the area to play with, whether it's diagram E only to the oil moed when the ulam is not part of the oil moed, or diagram F where the ulam is part of the oil moed, you're going to expand it. You accomplish both things. You have the kiyar between the oil moed, in this case the ulam, and the mizbeach, and you have the mizbeach opposite the Pesach oil moed. Good. So what do we need? We need it to be totally. We need it to be totally in the north. It's in the north. Diagram G. It's the mizbeach is totally in the north. Good. And the kiyar is going to be a little bit to the south, right there. You see it in front of you? The line of demarcation is north-south. So therefore, al karchach, you have to say that Rabbi Yossi Gluli is of the opinion it was in the north. Now you might ask, why don't we just take it and move it up a little bit, guys? You see the kiyar? Mm-hmm. Why do you say you have to put it in the south? Why don't I just put it in the north? Okay. Diagram H. Right? You're going to move it up. You're going to move it up a little bit to the north. And the answer, well, the opposite the other. You need it opposite this. No, you need the mizbeach is opening and next to diagram I. Right, definitely right. Yeah, diagram I, right. Diagram I would do the job also. Diagram I would do the job, guys. So, and the answer is diagram I. Look, you have, yes, you do. You have the altar, the mizbeach is opposite the oil mayed, and you have the kiyar. It's between the mizbeach and the ulam. Diagram I.
The kiyar doesn't have to be in the Pesach.
No, the kiyar just has to be between the oil mayed. The mizbeach has to be in the Pesach.
Right.
So very good. You have to look.
Because all the other diagrams,
this is the diagram is perfect. Watch, Reb Avi. That mizbeach, that's exactly Pesach to the Heichel. You see it goes up right. The kiyar is now between the ulam and mizbeach, correct? Yes. So very good. So why did he put it in the south? The answer is because the north has to be empty. The answer is the north has to be empty. Good. Okay. So now we can begin. We can go through the Gemara quickly. We can go through the Gemara quickly, I think, and if you want to use your diagrams, you can, but I'm not going to. I'm diagrammed out. But I think you have it, guys. You have, again, guys, to summarize, guys, to summarize. Rabbi Yossi Gluli said a statement. Rav Shravya said, the mizbeach has to be in the north. Why? Because he put the kiyar in the south. When he said the kiyar is in the south, it must be the mizbeach in the north. Now, we know two things. The opening of the mizbeach has to be at least not the opening. Some part of the mizbeach has to be opposite the opening of the oil moed, and the kiyar has to be between the oil moed and the mizbeach. Now, if the mizbeach was in the south, or if the Mizbeach was half and half, I don't need the kiyar to be all the way in the south. It could be, it could be, as we saw from the pictures, you can accomplish both. Ella, when he says it must be in the south because he holds the Mizbeach in the north. You'll ask the question, if the Mizbeach is in the north, you still can move the kiyar to the north. Sefoina, it has to be, the north has to be clean. Let's see it inside. Now, Hechin Hayyanaisnim, where did they put the kiyar? I'm nun tesam and aleph, 2 lines from the top. Hechin Hayyanaisnim, where they put the kiyar, bein ulam lemizbeach. They put it between the ulam and the mizbeach. Again, this is going to the opinion that the ulam is part of the al mayed. Meshech kima, right? A little bit, klape darim to the south side. Good, and that's, guys. If you any picture you ever see, the kiyar is in the south. The mizbeach, any picture you ever see, like we usually have the mizbeach in the north, but we have the mizbeach in the south. We have usually in the picture we see the mizbeach in the south, right? But that's not a problem. It's not a problem. It can be on the left side of the mizbeach, not a problem. Now, my kasava. Why does Rabbi Yossi Gluli hold? Ikasava kul mizbeach b'darim koi. If he held that the mizbeach was totally in the south, kanukim b'kaisel hechel udarim bein ulam mizbeach. You're able to put it on the south. You have 10 amis, 5 to play with. 5 will be opposite the elmai, and 5 you'll put the kiyar. And if you're going to say the hechel and the ulam akadosh, and therefore the ulam is the elmai, that gives you 5 more to play with. Nukim b'kaisel ulam udarim bein ulam mizbeach. Inami ksavar, or else if he's going to hold that the mizbeach chetzia b'tzafim v'chetzia b'darim nukmin b'koisel heichel l'darim bein ulam mizbeach v'inami ksavar kedushas ha'ulam v'heichel chadahi nukmin b'koisel ulam l'darim bein ulam mizbeach elulav mishum de ksavar kula mizbeach b'tzafim, right? The mizbeach is totally in the safin. For the Gemara, kinami mukbas le v'koisel heichel l'tzafin have le bein ulam mizbeach v'nukmin b'koisel l'tzafin. So go ahead and move it up. The mizbeach is in the north, so move the kaisel up. You still have a lot to play with. Another 5 or 10 to play with. Move it up. The diagram I on that. The then was the amakrotza fina. Sheit soften the extra hay. Sheit soften pone mikalim. Good, very good. That's it. So that's the proof that Rabbi Yossi Gluli holds what that the mizbeach is only in the north. Mantan the polyglot of Rabbi Yossi Gluli, who's the Tana dog is Rabbi Yossi Gluli. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. It's the Tana Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. The Tanya Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov Oimer. Safina sheit soften pone miklum. There should be nothing in the north, not only kalim, vafilu min mizbeach, guys. Even the mizbeach should not be in the north. So, guys, to summarize, we have a 3-year machloikus exactly where the mizbeach was located. According to Rabbi Yossi, according to Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Yossi Galili, it was in the north. According to Rabbi Yehuda, it was half north, half south. According to Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, it was totally in the south. So there's only 3 possibilities, right? And if at 3 Tanaim, they're argued. Okay, new Gemara. Amarav. Mizbeach shenifkam. Right. The Mizbeach that became pogum. The Mizbeach had to be totally smooth. If you would take your fingernail and rub it along the Mizbeach and it would get what? It get caught. That's called Mizbeach shenifkam. Nifkam is a pagam. There's a pagam in Mizbeach. It would get stuck. If the mizbeach was nifkam, kol hakochim shenichsku sham psulim. After, let's say you shechted it, and after you shechted it became nifkam. After you shechted it became nifkam, right? Psulim. It's puzzle. Mikrohu biyadenu. Rav said we had a pasuk. Shochachnuha, we forgot it. So again, you magdish carbon and you shechted the carbon, right? And you shechted the carbon, and before you had a chance to go ahead and do the zrika, right? The mizbeach was pogum, and therefore you can't finish the job. This carbon is now puzzle. Is this dachui? Guys, is this dachui? Yeah, it's dachui, right? It's out. Let's say you fix the mizbeach. It's still puzzle. You fix the base, it's puzzle because it's out. It was nearer for nitcha. Guys, it was nearer when you shechted it, the mizbeach was whole, and it was nifkam, and therefore it was dachui at that time. And then if you fix the mizbeach, it's chayza, so therefore it's puzzle. Now, if you say the svar of dachui, it's a little shver. Why do you need a pasuk then? I think they asked the kasha. Mikru b'yadenu shechnuva ki solik Rav Kahana ashkachul Rav Shimon b'Ribi. When Rav Kahana came up to Eretz Yisrael, he found Rav Shimon b'Ribi. The Kama Mishum Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi. Minayim lemizbeach shenifkam shekol hakotzim shenichstu sham psulim shenemar v'zavachta Allah v'say leisecha v'eshleimecha v'chi Allah v'ato zeveach. You're not shechting on it. Again, we saw a day that you could. Ella keshu shalem, when the mizbeach alav, when alav it's totally whole. V'loy keshu chaser, and now when it's missing. So Amar, so Rav Kahana said, Hainukra, that's the pasuk d'shtamid le-Rav. That's the pasuk that went ahead separate from Rav. So now, according to Rav, if you shechted it after if it was whole and then it went bad. Right. However, Rabbi Yochanan Amar echad zeh v'echad zeh psulim. Rashi, guys. Echad zeh v'echad zeh, medium wide, 3 lines down. Medium wide, 3 lines down. Echad zeh v'echad zeh bein shenishchatu b'shas pekimasan, whether you shechted it at the time it was nifkam, bein shenishchatu achat tikunai, or whether you shechted it after it got better. Psulin, kol hakachim shahaya kedushin v'oisa shah, anything that was kodesh at the time. Guys, Rabbi Yochanan says if you shechted it at the time of the pekima, it would be puzzle. Lefi sheniru v'nitchu, because in the second case it was in the ballpark and out of the ballpark. Ukasava balechayim nidachin keshchaitin. Balechayim are nidachin when they're geschachten. So that opinion is the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan. So according to Rav, right? According to Rav, it's if you didn't shecht it yet, guys, it would be good. If you didn't shecht it yet, it would be good. In fact, you didn't shecht it yet. But only it's no good after you shechted it, because it's puzzle. According to, again, Rav would be moida, once you shechted it and it's puzzle, it's out. That's not al zdichui, that's the pasuk. According to Rabbi Yochanan, guys, if there was kodesh, listen to this, if it was kodesh and you didn't shecht it yet, and then it got better and you shechted it, it's no good. Because since you couldn't shecht it at the time you were magdish it, it's out of the ballpark. Good? Says the Gemara. What's the svaras machlokes between Rabbi Yochanan and Rav? Rav Sava Bali Chayim and Nidachim. He's of the opinion that Bali Chayim, that live animals, right, are not Nidachim. Only geschachten animals. Only an animal that's slaughtered, guys. An animal that's slaughtered ain't chinami. But a live animal. So if I magdish the animal and I didn't shecht it yet, and the mizbeach is nifkam, the animal's still good. It's not possible. Why? Because Bali Chayim and Nidachim. Right. However, Rabbi Yochanan Sava Bali Chayim Nidachin. Therefore, Rabbi Yochanan says, if the animal you shechted it, if you magdish the animal, and the mizbeach wasn't good, and then you fixed the mizbeach, it's still no good. Again, it says Rabbi Yochanan according to Rashi, right? Bein shenishchtu achet tikunai. You shechted it after it was corrected. Psulin. It's puzzle. Everything's puzzle. So the svaras machlokes is, guys, according to Rav, if the animal was whole, but you can't bring it because it was nifkam, and then you corrected it, and you went ahead and shechted the animal, it would be good, because bali chayim and nidachim. Even though it was this time you couldn't bring it because the mizbeach was nifkam, you couldn't bring it. But since, right, it's Bali Chaim and Nidachim, you could. Says Rabbi Yochanan, no. Says Rabbi Yochanan, if there's a time where you magdish the animal and you couldn't bring it, and then you could bring it, once it's out of the ballpark, Bali Chaim Nidachim. And we're familiar with the concept of dachri. We've had it quite a few times. Now, that's the source of machlokes. Mesi, we can ask the kasha and Rav. Kol hakotshim shahoyu ad shlei nivna hamizbeach. All kotshim that you were magdish before they built the mizbeach, the achach nivnech hamizbeach, and afterwards the mizbeach was built. Psulin, it's puzzle. Says the Gemara, 1 second. Nivne, the chuy me karininu. If you were magdish it before it was built, That's dichui meikara, and it's shver. There's a mandi amu says that loy havi dachui. Again, there's more of svara to say guys in the ballpark, out of the ballpark, than never in the ballpark in the first place. So Ella must be the girsa is not kol kochim shahoyu actually nivna, el kol kochim actually neras hamizbeach. Who broke the mizbeach? Rashi says the Nebuchadnezzar. So any behema that you were magdish, right before Nebuchadnezzar went ahead and broke the mizbeach, right? You would not be able to bring in second base of Mikdash.
70-year-old animal.
Okay, we'll get to that in a second. Guys, listen. Here's the gersa. Listen where he's changing the gersa. Here's where you learn pshat in the brisa. Meisivei. Kol hakachim shahayu, that was actually neheras hamizbeach, until the mizbeach was broken. The achkach nivna mizbeach, and then it was built. When was the mizbeach built, guys? Second base of Mikdash, psulin. That never changed, right? So it says the Gemara 1 second. Neras ha'iskan lahu. This is an alta buck. This is a really old animal, and a zaken is one of the things you can't bring. We'll get back to this in a second. Ella, actually nifkam hamizbeach, the achakach nifkam hamizbeach psulin. So change the gersa, right? Any kachim that you were magdish until it was nifkam, and then it was nifkam, you can't bring it anymore. That's exactly like Rabbi Yochanan and Kash and Rav. Guys, here's the way you're reading it, right? Kol hakachim actually nifkam hamizbeach until mizbeach, v'yachach nifkam, and the animal wasn't slaughtered yet. Psulin, you can't slaughter the animal. You can't shech the animal. Kasha and Rav, and for the Gemara, v'lav terutzi kametarza. Guys, was this brisa so correct? We're cut and pasting the brisa so long. You're telling me nivne doesn't mean nivne, means neras. No, it doesn't mean neras, it means nifkam. So you changed that word. Once you change the word, what are you telling me? You can't rely on the reliability of this of brisa being totally correct. So how can you ask me that? So ne'ema shenishchatu. Don't say kol kachim shahayu. Any kol kachim shenishchatu. Ad shalei nifkam hamizbeach. Any kachim that you shechted until the mizbeach was nifkam is possible. That's Rav's din. So no, it's not a kasha on me. It's a kasha if it wasn't shechted yet. Because then what? It's nitche. But what? If you're telling me it was shechted already, so in other words, don't ask from this brisa, because once you're changing the word nivna to neras and then neras to nifkam, I'll change what? I'll change it to kachim shahayu to shachtu. Okay. Now, what's this thing about this old carbon, guys? There's a taisus here that is pelaployim. Pelaployim took a taisus. Look at the Amid Bays. Look at the Amid Bays.
That's how long it is? 7 meters?
Now, guys, this we're not doing the large taisus that carries over from the Amid Aleph.
That's a 70-year-old.
Yeah, that would take us 70 years. No, we're doing the taisus. The third one up, guys, listen to this. Is a medrash that you don't know. I mean, I didn't know it. The gabe mumim tanam b'bechayris hazakein. In bechayris, one of the mumim they listed is what is an alta. V'hada amar be'elio rabba. In devarim chayim kulchem ayoim kal v'chayme mi porim sheisnavu hanesiim la seisa arin b'midbar. The nesiim in Parshas Nasai they gave all the matanos, right? And they gave parim to schlep the wagons. And these parim, shechayu ad shloima, these parim lived until shloima hundreds of years later. Shekrivan ligvaya, frekdaisis. 1 second. You told me a zakin's old. This is not a zakin.
Ancient.
This is, yeah. This is crazy old. Harashahaya is a rasha. Now, I'll give you food for thought. Last week's Parsha's Vayera. Avram is about to bring his son as a carbon. Malach Kosaf Shemayim, right? V'yar Avram Akrov, V'hinei, Ayel Acher, Basfach. Says Rashi, why is an Acher? This is, Ayel was Mesheshes Yimei Bereshis.
1956.
This is a really, really old Ayel.
Avram was born in 1948.
This is, Avram was older, no. Yishka was 37. Yes, it was. Yeah, yes, he was 137. You see. Okay. Anyway, this is an alta. Yeah. So obviously, if that was Shah, the easy way out is to say, listen, if Hashem created from the beginning of time for this purpose, okay, it's a Shah. It's a little different. But I heard from, I didn't see it. I heard from Sully Bornstein. I couldn't find it. He quoted a Yavitz. The Yavitz said the following: the Pasul of Zakein is not the age of it, but in Yiddish we say the frischkeit. In other words, when something gets old, it gets old and withered. Obviously, if these things are so ancient, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is keeping them alive, right? He's keeping them well, so be well preserved. So those ones that are, again, it makes no sense to live that long. So if they're given divine years, so Memela, the psul doesn't apply there. That's what the Yavitz is timing. Right?
It's an aged rib steak.
I said like him.
Very aged rib steak.
Only Benji. It's a very aged rib steak.
Everyone know what to do with it.
Guy, I think it's a fascinating crisis, right? First of all, the idea that the part of that the idea and the kasha is very nice kasha. Okay, so back to the barn. Okay, Shmaka Gemara. So Rav survives the question. Of course, it's not a correct brisa, and instead of saying kol kachim shahayu, say kol kachim shenishchatu. For Iva Omar Rav Gidl Omar Rav mizbeach shenekar maktirin kitaris bimkoimoi. Guys, what's the problem? Let's say the mizbeach is nifkam. Good, it's nifkam. Why can't I do srika? Remove the mizbeach and do srika. Why? Because if the mizbeach has zahav was oiker, they'd still bring the kitaris in its spot, and the havmin is also so bring the carbon in the spot. So good nifkam. So you don't have a mizbeach. So go ahead and move the mizbeach, and in that spot, go ahead and do this rika. Guys, you hear? Just like you can do the haktara in the mizbeach hazav, do this rika on the mizbeach chitzayna. Right. And for the Gemara Kidama Rava, Maida hay Rabbi Yehuda b'damim. Rabbi Yehuda is Maida by spritzing of blood. Hachanami Maida Rav b'damim. Okay, now we have to see who that. In other words, Rabbi Yehuda, when he says linya k'tayris, you can burn it. Linya murim, you could burn it, but you can't do srika. It has to be, can't be nifkam. You can't do srika, it can't be nifkam. Now, the rest of the daf is going to be meeting this Rabbi Yehuda, guys. The rest of the daf is meeting this Rabbi Yehuda. Now, my Rabbi Yehuda, the Tanya. But Yomahu, okay, this pasuk. But by Yomahu, Kidash HaMelech es toicha chatzer, asher lifnei beis Hashem. Shlomo HaMelech was mekadesh the ritzpah, guys, the floor of the Beis HaMikdash. Ki asa shom es ha'oila ves ha'mincha v'schel ve'ashlamim. Because he burnt there the oila and the mincha and the fats of the shlamim. Ki mizbeach ha'nechoshesh asher lifnei Hashem katan mahachal es ha'oila. The mizbeach ha'nechoshesh that was in front of Hashem was too small to contain all the oila and the mincha v'schel ve'ashlamim. So in other words, you needed more area. You needed more area to do the burning. You needed more area. There wasn't enough. So that day he was mekadesh. Ki mizbeach katan mehechel. Devarim kiksavam divrei Rabbi Yehuda. These are what? These are the words of Rabbi Yehuda. Amle Rabbi Yossi. So he says the word should be taken literally, that they expanded the Azara. They expanded the floor of the Azara. That's the way Rabbi Yehuda learns. Because the Mizbeach was too small. Which Mizbeach? The Mizbeach that was in the Mizbeach that was in the Beis HaMikdash. Okay. Amle Rabbi Yossi, like for Nemar, it said Now this is before the Beis Hamikdash was built. It said, Elef oilos, vayelech hamelech, givoina. The Melech Shlomo came to Givon. That's where the Mizbeach was. Novin Givon, the Mishkan. This Boyach Shom ki hi abama gedoyla elef oilis yalish shloimei al Mizbeachahu. So guys, here's a given. On that Mizbeach that was in Givon, Shlomo brought 1,000 kabbanas, meaning he was able to burn on that 1,000 kabbanas. That was the Mizbeach that was made by Moshe Rabbeinu. Okay, that was the Mizbeach from Moshe Rabbeinu. Let's do a little math. It was 5 by 5. It was 5 by 5, and you go ahead and you take away the chronos. That's now it's 3, and you take away the two more for where the Kohanim walked. So the Maracha was 1 by 1. So the ratio is 1 by 1 could go ahead and burn 1,000. Guys, 1 by 1 could burn 1,000. You got it? Okay. Again, the Mizbeach was 5 by 5. You got to take away for the chronos 1, but it's really 2 because it's 2 sides, so it's 3. Then you got to take away the Kohanim is another 2, so it leaves you 1. And that 1, they were able to burn 1 by 1. They were able to burn 1,000 cards. Now, how big was Shlomo's Mizbeach? It was 32 by 32. You do the math, you took away everything, you end up by 20 by 20. It's 400. That's 400. Okay. So the chayra on his mizbeach you could burn 400,000. If 1 to 1,000, then on mizbeach that's 400. You can put 400,000. Good. Now that should be more than enough area. We're going to see it's 142,000 kabbanas brought. Guys, 142,000 kabbanas brought. So you didn't need to go mekadesh the ritzvah for that. So that's where Rabbi Yossi disagrees with Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says dvarim k'ksavan. Rabbi Yehuda is of the opinion that we're going to have to see how he does the math, but he's of the opinion that you had to expand. On the other hand, Rabbi Yossi is of the opinion you didn't, that you had ample space. Okay, so let's see. Elef oilis yalish shloima al mizbeachahu. V'ila beis olamim hu omer vayizbach shloima ezevach hashloimim and vayizbach shloima ezevach hashloimim asher zevach Hashem baka esrim shnayim elef 22,000. But son me'av esrim elef another 122,000. So guys, 22,000 and 120,000 is 142,000. Good. So now. So l'chayra, you have enough space. Guys, let's do the math one more time. Guys, eye contact, math one more time. Guys, math one more time. The given, 1 by 1 is 1,000. This is 20 by 20 is 400. 400. So therefore, is 1 to 1,000, 400 is 400,000. He only needed to do 142. So you didn't have to expand. So how does Rabbi Yossi therefore learn it was too small? What's it going on? Let's continue the Gemara. Right? Pliny is a midget, is pasal avoda. In other words, it's a nice way of saying Moshe's mizbeach can't do the job anymore, guys. Moshe's mizbeach can't do the job anymore. So it's not going on the mizbeach of Shlomo. It's going on Moshe's mizbeach that they're putting to rest now. They're passing Moshe's mizbeach can't do the job. But you didn't have to expand the heichel. Okay, so now again, all we need from this is to know that Rabbi Yehuda, the Rabbi Yehuda said you can't spritz blood. It's only linian. You can't spritz the blood. Therefore, if you have a pagam in the mizbeach and you take away the mizbeach, it doesn't work.
You can't spritz right because the floor was makadosh.
No, the floor was only even when he was makadosh. You couldn't spritz. You can only burn a murim. You can never spritz again. From mizbeach to spritz, you don't need a big space baruch. It's only the burning of the murim, right, guys? Very important. He didn't expand the floor le'inyan doing the spritzing. No, the spritzing you could do on the mizbeach. So that's no, excuse the pun, no big spritz. But you go ahead and it was pretty good. Right? So you didn't. You needed to burn the imurim again. You needed so much fire to burn the imurim. There was too much. So, but Rabbi Yossi is proving that you don't need it. So therefore, he applies the Kodesh Heichel to going ahead and putting Moshe's Mizbeach out the pasture, so to say. That that it's not good anymore. Rabbi Yehuda Shapik Ham Rabbi Yosi, Al Chayra Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Yosi saying very good, good. So now, guys, what we're going to do is we're going to see, right? We're going to see that Rabbi Yehuda's cheshbon math-wise is different than Rabbi Yosi's. Okay, let's see the cheshbon. Rabbi Yehuda Tamei, Dam Mizbeach Shas Moshe Gadol Haya. It wasn't 5 by 5; it was larger. The Tanya, Chamesh Mea Amos Eirich, the Chamesh Amos Reichiv, the Vorm Kiksavam. Divrei Rabbi Yosi was 5 by 5. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer, Nema Kan Revua. It says over here, but he says Hamizbeach Atzei Shitim Chamesh Amos Eirich Chamesh Reichiv. It should be Reichiv Revua. It says Revua. V'nemar, it says by Yecheskel Lahalon. It says Va'ariel Shteim Esrei Oirich B'Shteim Esrei Reichiv 12 by 12 Revua Al Arba Revaov. So in 4 quadrants, guys. So this is Rashi says it's not only speaking Yecheskel is not only on the third mizbeach, third bias, but even the second bias. So guys, look, his was not 12 by 12. It was 12, 12, 12, 12. It was 24 by 24. So his was 5, 5, 5, 5. It was 20 by 20. Guys, his was 20 by 20, which is 400. It was 20 by 20 is 400. Now, the Mizbeach, if you do the math, that you have to play with, you have 32, it was 20 by 20, it was like 36. He gets a cheshbon. Let's do the cheshbon. Ma'alahalim memsiusahaya was from the middle. Moeded Afkan, just like by Yecheskel, they're going to measure from the middle. Afkan, by Moshe, they measured from the middle. Hayamoeded v'hasam enolam dechsiv Ariel shtei mesrei amal l'chol ruach oyein elu yudbeis al yudbeis kishu mal arba rovov 4 quadrants malamed sheme amsiahu moeded. Okay, so now he has revua. So you have 36 into 400 gives you approximately 11. So therefore, you can only do 11,000 on Shlomi's Mizbeach. And therefore, since you need it for 142,000, yeah, you need more. Again, the ratio is not 1 to 400. The ratio is 11 to 1. Is 11. 36 into 400 is 11. So therefore, it's 11,000. That's the ratio. If that 1,000 on Moshe's would be 11,000 on the other one, and you need 142. Therefore, Rabbi Yehuda was of the opinion you had to expand the ritzbah to burn the emurim. That's what he held. Okay, that's the myth over here. Rabbi Yosi, what does he do? What does he do with the revua? Ki gama gezerah shava the revua begoiva hu degame. He learns it regarding the height. The Tanya. Nema it says by the outside mizbeach. Usholish amos kamasai. So dvarim kiksavan that the mizbeach was 3 amos high. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yosi Omer. Rabbi Yosi says nemer kan revua v'nemer lahalon revua ma lahalon goiva pishnayim karchai. Just like what the mizbeach pnimi was 2 to 1. It was one wide and 2 high. Afkan mizbeach chitzain was pishnayim. So it was 5 times 2. It was 10. That's what he learns through what the Gezerah Shabbat. On the Rabbi Yehuda, Ba'alei Nemar it says, "Ves oirech hachatzer meya ba'ama v'koymer chamesh amos." It was 5 amos high. Oirech hachatzer meya ama v'koymer chamesh ama. So now you have a problem. I say it's guys 3. I say the mizbeach was 3. You say the mizbeach is 10. If the wall was only 5, the curtain, and the mizbeach is 10, Nimsa, anybody wants to go look and see, there's any of tznius that people are not seeing what you're doing. So if you're going to be up there and they're down here, they're going to be able to see. Bishleim, I say 3, that's 5, he's hidden. On the other hand, you, Rabbi Yosi, so Rabbi Yosi answered, like Fainemar it says, Vaskali achatzer, Vasmasach shar achatzer, Ashel mishkar v'al mizbeach. The curtains and the mast, literally the mast that went in front of the opening on the Mishkan, it says v'al mizbeach. Ma Mishkan esa amas. The Mishkan is the crushing with 10 amas high. Af mizbeach esa amas with 10 amas high. V'oimer koloyim chamesh asrei. Guys, when it says 5 amas, you know what it means? 5 amas above 10. It's 15 amas. The curtains, when it says the curtains were 5 amas, it means 15. Because the crushim were 10, and it means 5 amas above the crushim. Koloyim chamesh asrei ama ala kasaf Umat Talmud Laimar, Chamesh Amos. What do you say Chamesh Amos? Mishpat Mizbeach L'mayla Misvas Mizbeach L'mayla. Right. Umat Talmud Laimar. The pasuk of Shlosh Amos Kamasoi Misvas Soivev L'mayla. Guys, Mizbeach 10 Amos. Right. How much was the Yisoid? An Amma. How much was Mizbeach? 5 is 6. Above now you're at the midway point. Now you have 3 is 9, and then you have what? The Keren is 10. So the 3 Amos is going on the distance from the after the 5. Okay, Rabbi Yehuda, who says the Mizbeach was 3 Amos high, Ki Gomar Gzereshava Ravua Ravua, that he's speaking not about the height, he's only speaking about Rachbahu the Gomar. He's only speaking about the Roichav of the Mizbeach. He was only speaking about the width of the Mizbeach. And he learned from Yecheskel that you had different quadrants. That's how he learned over there. Okay, I guess we could stop over here. Okay, so just a quick summary. We didn't even get to the part we have to get to. The part we have to get to is the Damim. That the place was not for Damim, right? We have to get to that yet.